and from the North Pole, West Washington area over there, right?
Yeah, the West Pole.
The West Pole. I love that. All right, let's thank our West Pole sponsors there.
Yes, our very good sponsors, the Coffee Club sponsors for October 2020, for December of
December.
2023. Meadowview Healthcare, Walmart, Salem Crossing, Hoosier Uplands, Americans for Prosperity, Mama Rosas, Fox Pearly Wealth Management, Dr. Black's Eye Associates, Dr. Mindy Gunn, Leader One Financial, NMLS 12007, Equal Housing Lender.
I think Autumn Scott Hall likes to put that in there to keep everybody on their toes. Thank you, thank you, Keith. I appreciate that for sure. All right, we're on to the 13th day of December. Today is ice cream day.
Ooh.
So, Keith, what would be your favorite kind of ice cream? I'm going to go, okay, you stop and give me some ice cream, Becky. What would I be getting?
Ice cream is my
is that your weakness?
deep down weakness. Yes, I love ice cream.
So Mrs. Claus loves you eating.
Fond memories of my grandfather getting Schwann's ice cream and visiting there and him dipping me ice cream. Or
Ooh.
My dad, it was his favorite treat. It was to have a evening bowl of ice cream on occasion. And it's definitely been passed down. My in-laws are visiting, and they bought this
fun.
Ninja ice cream maker machine. So we've been sampling and making our own varieties of ice cream for the last 3 or 4 days. So that's been very exciting. Yeah. I had an espresso chocolate chip cookie one that I made. We had a cordial cherry with the little Queen Anne's Christmas cherries, chocolate covered cherries in it. But the eggnog was the best.
Oh, eggnog.
Eggnog was the best.
Oh, was it creamy?
It was really creamy, really good.
Oh,
yeah.
I love eggnog. I know, and there's not a lot of people that do. I found that out, but
I don't think I found ice cream that I don't like. That's the problem.
I agree with
that. That's the problem. I like them all.
I have to agree with you on that. You know what I mean? And a good, even just like a good vanilla when it's good.
Oh yeah. Yeah, the classic French vanilla from Schwann's all by itself is
brought to you by Schwann's Company.
Yeah.
They need to drop us off.
Now it's yellow.
Is it what it is? Is that what it's changed? Well, they need to change. They need to be dropping some off here. You know.
Yeah. I'll tell them to put you on the route. They stop by my house every week.
Just bring me a spoon and some ice cream and just walk away. Yeah, that sounds good to me. The ice cream day, National Cocoa Day. Do you like cocoa hot chocolate?
I don't mind a cup of hot cocoa.
Yeah. Do you put?
Sometimes I like to mix, and this time of year, like a half hot cocoa, half coffee.
Ooh,
that's pretty good.
There you go. Do you put marshmallows in them?
Usually Cool Whip. Just like a spoonful of Cool Whip on top.
That's a game changer, right?
Yeah.
Ooh, what if you put like ice cream in it? Oh, yeah.
It wouldn't be hot cocoa any longer, or much longer.
No, that sounds delicious though. And then I've seen people take the peppermint sticks and put those in.
Oh, yeah.
Like a little bit. You can get crazy there. National Cream Cheese Frosting Day.
I'm more of a whipped frosting guy.
Mm-hmm.
I like the whipped icing.
I do the whip too. Better than Okay. National Day of the Horse. Love that. Used to show horses, ride horses, love horses.
Oh, wonderful.
Yeah. Many years ago. Yeah. When you start having babies, something has to give.
Yeah.
Something about,
Yeah.
National Popcorn String Day. Do you ever string the popcorn?
No. I have some woven strung popcorn, the replica, the crocheted type.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah, it looks and mimics the.
Somebody took time to That's really a cute idea.
Yeah.
You didn't do it. Did
No.
You? I was going to say that's really a cute idea. National Violin Day. I found out with the violin. This was really a fun fact. I thought it was cool. I didn't know when you're starting off playing the violin, you don't get your is it called the bow? The bow, like you.
Yeah.
Yeah, the bow. You don't get that at first. That comes later.
It's like the black belt in karate or something.
Yeah.
What's the difference between a violin and a fiddle?
Oh, I've heard that. Let's hear it.
Oh, I don't know. I just want to say the person who plays it. That's all.
I love that. I think that's what I've heard before. Yeah. So get out and enjoy. Great day. And I love your enthusiasm from head to toe. You are dressed. And we've got Santa in the house here and I think I love every bit of that. I think it's fantastic. And I'm sure that the hallways and everything is bouncing over there at West.
Yeah, and next week we'll have our holiday parties, and my wife always helps me out. She's got a Mrs. Claus outfit, and so we come and go through the elementary and hand out candy and spend time with the kids. It's a lot of fun. Something I definitely look forward to. This morning at the last minute, I decided oh, you know what? I'm gonna wear this to the
I
radio. And
love
then
it.
the fun that the weird sense of humor that I have, it made me laugh the entire drive here. The fact that it is the radio, and so I'm dressed as Santa Claus, and no one gets to see it but you, Becky. So
Oh,
hey, it just goes to show how much I like this program.
oh, well, and I appreciate that. I do. No, I love the enthusiasm, and I've been hitting it hard. There's only, you've only got a little bit of a time frame to get everything in to wear, and so, I know I appreciate that. I love it. Love it. Love, love, love. And I think it's the time goes by so fast from Thanksgiving to
Yeah.
Christmas. You just have those. It just seems. Do you feel that way too?
Yeah, fall break to now has really flown, and it's one of those things. I try not to be a last minute shopper, but it's hard not to be because things are going on so quickly, and the next thing you know, you look up and it's what, 11 days?
Yeah.
11 days.
Yeah. Right. So for those shoppers, 11
Woo.
shopping days. Shop.
Luckily,
Shop
we
away.
got wonderful stores here in Salem that can help you out with that.
And for those wood choppers out there, 11 chopping days. Chop away. So my dad would always say that. So Keith, let's go back. Let's talk about your personal, like, what was Christmas like? What was like your Christmas like growing up?
Yeah, Christmas was a great holiday. It was family. My grandma on my mother's side would have a big family Christmas Eve, and it was extended family. I didn't even know who they were, so it was just a house in a basement full of people, and you're a kid running around, and there's a pool table, and she's got the village all lit up like the little Christmas village, and tree upstairs and a tree downstairs, and food everywhere, and ham, and all the stuff, the traditional stuff. Since then, my grandparents have passed away, and my mom continues the tradition of Christmas Eve, but it's just our immediate or her children, and then my brothers and my sister-in-laws and my nieces and nephews. And that's really special because we do a pajama Christmas now, Christmas Eve, which is really nice. Especially when the kids were little, you pack them up after you're spoiled by their grandma, and you throw them in the car, and they live in New Albany. So by the time we're home, we don't have to worry about getting around for bed for Santa Claus. I'm just, even all the way up until teenage years, I'm carrying them to their beds. And so, yeah, a lot of awesome memories. And then Christmas morning when I was a kid was a lot of fun. I have an older brother and a younger brother. And there was typically always like our own individual gifts, but there'd usually be a gift that was kind of like everyone's to do together. So I remember one time getting the laser tag stuff and spending the entire Christmas break playing laser tag in the basement, different versions, laser tag in the dark and laser tag with with the lights on, laser tag after you build forts everywhere. And if we're fortunate enough to have snow, we lived on a hill. For living in town, we had about an acre lot, and it was on a hill, and so we had a lot of good times sledding. My cousins were my next door neighbors, so as much like brother and sisters as anything. And so it was a lot of, here's your snow clothes. See you at lunchtime. And then my mom would throw them in the dryer while we ate, and then we go right back out. So there are a lot of great memories of being a kid surrounding winter and Christmas. And, you just try to pass on those type of feelings to others, which is like, Christmas is about people. The presents are fun. I have fond memories of presents, but I really remember is all those time together as a family, and the fun you had with one another, even the bad ones. Having your face forced into the snow and shoved down there for a long time, and thinking you're going to die, and then you come up and you want to kill your brother. So yeah, the good, bad, and otherwise is all those memories of just being with my brothers, being with my cousins, all my extended family, and it's kind of what we try to do now. It's just go and see both sides of our families, my wife's and my own. Make the best of those times that you get, because as you grow old, and I don't know, kids, I never realized it when I was a kid. When you grow old, those people you spend every day with, all of a sudden you see, if you're lucky, on the holidays. And so you just make the best of those times. And I'm looking forward to it. I'm looking forward to this year.
Yeah.
It's going to be a weird Christmas to a degree. My daughter's going to graduate college. My son's graduating high school. So it's kind of like, Yeah, and just knowing that's on the horizon,
Yeah.
you kind of feel like this Christmas is going to be special.
Definitely. Well, let's give a shout out to your mom. I mean, 3 boys. I mean, trying to,
Yeah, I always
and
laugh.
she raised you.
Yeah.
You survived.
Yeah. We
She
survived.
survived.
She
She survived.
survived. Yeah.
Yeah. Big shout out to her. For sure.
We'll say, my family's somewhat traditional, and for a lot of years, my mom stayed home, and my dad went to work. When we got a little older, she started working in some schools in an office setting. Um, the one thing I could say, my mom did most of the child rearing. She was at home, but my dad, he laid the law down. You did not disrespect your mom.
Oh, I love that.
And so that probably was very helpful to her. I mean, he was working a lot of hours sometimes, working for Duke Energy, and so a lot of times, it was us kids and her, and I'm sure it probably was. She probably fought with her sanity sometimes, but my dad he would not stand for it. So I think that helped out quite a bit. And then my older brother was a really good example of, how to behave and act. So we weren't bad. We were rambunctious at home, good in public, right?
There you go. That's right.
So yeah, it was a great childhood.
Well,
I can't say enough about my parents and what they mean to me. So
I love that. Now it's a great time. I think, every day, is very special with your parents, but I think that it's always a good time to just stop and reflect, and you go back and you think about all of the things that, that your parents have done and made it special and worked hard to make that special like that,
Yeah. I mean, I think that parenting, you sacrifice, right? If you're doing it right, you're making a lot of sacrifices.
Yeah, definitely.
And my parents definitely did that. My mom's, she's smart lady, but it was a matter of being home and taking care of her family was important, and that's what she did. And I'm sure she could have had any number of careers if she had chose to. And then my dad, knowing that that was the choice they had made as a family, worked really, really hard. There's a lot of opportunity. You think about the guys that are out there working on power lines. We get really frustrated when the electricity's down for 10, 20, 30 minutes. Most people don't understand what that means to the families of the linemen that are working on those things. One time per month, my dad was on call, which meant that you had to answer for those 7 days. There was no getting out of it. You were the person to go out and handle those type of situations. So yeah, they made a lot of sacrifices, and that's one thing that, not that that's not prevalent in New Albany still. I'm sure there are still those type of families, but that is one of the things I do like about being out at West Washington. It is very family oriented, and not just the school. We talk about those feelings and those senses of family, but the family structure still means a lot in our communities, and that's important to me because it means a lot to me.
Right. And I think, well, I want to go back to the linemen real quick. You're totally right. I'm so glad you brought them up because, we are going to be getting into, feisty weather or, sometimes wind, sometimes whatever.
Yeah. Anytime you get ice on the lines and there's wind, that's a recipe for
when I see someone
disaster.
up in that bucket, it scares me. I mean, you know what I'm saying? I'm thinking, somebody that person is loved. I mean, I don't know the person necessarily, but someone loves that person, and they're up there, and I always say a prayer or something for them because I always think that's so dangerous, and when you're taking ice, water, or whatever with electricity, that doesn't match.
Yeah, and I know that my dad would tell stories sometimes of like being in someone's backyard working on a power line, and the person sometimes not always being pleasant, like, when's that going to get done? What are you doing up there? Or you're not up in the bucket. You taking a break? Get this,
Yeah.
And then he said, you would go somewhere that was in an emergency situation. Like he'd been to Florida and Texas several times for hurricanes, and he had been up north several times for ice storms, and like in Detroit and other areas. And he said in those situations, everyone looked to you as like, to some degree, like a first responder or a savior in a sense of here we are suffering, especially if you're in the cold and you have no electricity, that can become really life-threatening. And so he said, and then those instances, people would be thanking you and come up to you and give you a hug once the power got back. I mean, all these things that were really rewarding and fulfilling. I hate that it takes those situations for us to appreciate all the different people that make our life what it is. I mean, honestly, we live in the most convenient period of time in the history of the world. And I feel like people have more to complain about than ever. And that's sometimes a hard pill to swallow, you know. And I felt that way. Like we feel that way, get that warmth around holidays. We feel that way in an emergency situation when everyone rallies together. See everyone rally together for Landon Holloway, who's one of our students that's sick, and he's overcoming a lot right now, and he's on the road to recovery.
What a blessing.
Definitely a blessing, but he's been through it, and he's needed support, and people have tried to do as much as they can from a distance because he's been hospitalized. Or during COVID time, all these different times where everyone can get on the same side and pull in the same direction. You wish that people didn't take that for granted, and you can do that every day. Because it's so powerful. I mean, if we can overcome those giant things by working together, imagine what we could do in times of, where things are settled, and we're all doing that together. It would be very, very powerful if we could do that, like I said, every single day. Of course, there are things that people will disagree on and way you're going to get stuff done. But ultimately, like in a community or at a school, you're all working for the same thing. You want the best community possible for your town of Salem, for the county of Washington County. In our case, certainly for the kids at our school. But it's a lot easier when you got everybody pulling in the same direction. And it's just unfortunate that it takes holidays to feel that loving, heartwarming feeling, or it takes an emergency situation for everyone to come together. Because if we came together all the time, man, look out, you could accomplish anything.
That's well said. Very good. Yeah, you're right. Absolutely. So do you feel like with like knowing that and like having that and what a blessing, to have the beautiful, what we just talked about, your, growing up and memories and everything that you share and every story, everybody has a different story. But do you feel like that is where you, like your heart comes in, so where you want to make sure that the children and everybody at West Washington, your school corporation, how important that is to feel that, have some of those feelings?
When you felt those feelings and you appreciate those feelings, you want to share them. And I think that's why most people go into education. I mean, if you take, even the honoriest grizzled teacher deep down in there, it's like the Grinch. They got the heart of gold in there somewhere. Because you don't jump into this. You don't jump into this because you don't, you jump into it because you're like, you want to make a difference, and you enjoy kids, and you recognize that not everyone has what you had, or maybe you're that teacher that overcame, and you are exactly like that kid that didn't have the support like I had. You want to talk about counting your blessings. Sometimes the people that have the most blessings don't do any counting, and when you recognize the blessings you have, you can also recognize that not everyone has them. And when you recognize not everyone has them, you want to do everything you can to impact that. And that is the sadness around this time. I know that I'm going to go have the best 10 days that I've had in 2023, probably over the Christmas holiday, but I know not every one of our kids are going to do that. So that is the sadness in the moment. But what you do is you try to do what you can to make their time bright. You want them to love school because you want them to feel like they got the supports and the love that everyone desires provided for them there if they're not provided for them somewhere else. So.
Right. Well, and I think, having different teachers and having different personalities, I think that works out wonderful because then different students, everybody can relate to different people. That you have that, like some connections more so with others than other teachers. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I agree with that. We did a practice one time where for several years in a row, we just send out this questionnaire to the kids, and they would just list a couple of adults that, they really felt they had a connection with, or they could go to in times of trouble, or they felt that they supported them. There wasn't a staff member that wasn't listed on some list. I think that's why it's important, that you all have a common theme as a staff, like what's our mission? What are we trying to do? But also that you got a variety of individuals and personalities, men and women, and different ages, different backgrounds. You know, in our community, we got a lot of teachers that grew up like some of our kids, which would you know, taking care of animals and that kind of responsibility, and growing up in the country. But we also got teachers that don't have that kind of upbringing at all. So you got all these diverse backgrounds because we got, I mean, and maybe we don't look all diverse on the outside, but we all are super diverse in our experiences. So you kind of want to build a staff that way too. And it's hard because I will say we've ran into some situations, and I doubt every school, I assume every school is having this problem too. Social media and some of the insensitivity that is pretty prevalent right now. And I don't care what side you're on. I just think that you should treat people with respect. And the way you talk about them, the way you talk about their ethnicity, the way you talk about their religion, the way you talk about their race, to me, that's a non-negotiable. I mean, that's a given. Yeah. You have to do that. That's respecting respecting the human race and having love for your fellow man. And unfortunately, our kids are inundated with a bunch of nasty stuff. Yeah. And we are too, as adults, but we have an adult brain. I can look at it and I can say that's idiotic. Yeah. And scroll away. Right. But for kids, it's pollution. And I'm not saying all devices and all computers and all those things are bad. You're bringing up, man, what a valuable resource we have. But how do we choose to screw it up so badly? Yeah. And use it for what it's being used for, and what gets the most likes and seen the most times. It's hard because as teachers, you're combating that all the time. You know, what they see on their phone is not reality. You're trying to teach them reality and how to behave and how to treat others. And so parents, you know, when you're thinking about what's happening at your kid's school, there's a lot of academic stuff going on, but we're doing a lot of other things too. And ultimately, in order, the situations where it works out best, the school and the parents were speaking the same language. And that's when the kids, they have a real understanding. Not every kid has that. And so you have to have patience. You know, ideally, you hear someone say something that's really inappropriate, you know, it's out of bounds. You address it head on. But the one thing that I have tried to do personally, and what I try to impart on our staff, is you also do it with compassion, because what you're dealing with really is ignorance or not understanding. And to me, that's as teachable as a moment as the time you teach a kid, you know, how to add 2-digit numbers. Important, but which one is most important? You know, learning how to love and care for your fellow man that's as much going to be an ingredient for success as anything you're going to learn out of a book.
I agree. Well, I think you're bringing up some really good points, and I think those are just things to remind everybody too, because I feel like, you know, years ago, you know, I talked about this before, but I did a program, and I got from all 3 schools. We did it was a Saturday morning, brought them in, and we talked, you know, about bullying, and this is before, you know, really that they had so much going on. You know, this has been years ago. And, you know, and a lot of times, and some of the things that, like, some of them said that they learned, but they didn't realize that sometimes just like laughing at a situation, how it made someone feel, you know what I mean? Or something like sometimes there was bullying that they didn't realize that they were bullying, you know what I mean? And they were more aware of it now that it's been brought to the forefront and kind of, you know, talked about and showing the different ways bullying can be, you know? Yeah. And because they said they never considered themselves a bully, but then when they started hearing the things that, you know, that go involved, and now you're talking, you know, you put that there, but and put a bookmark there, but now you're talking to social media that, and a lot of your, like, and a lot of, you know, teachers and everybody, all schools around, you know, sometimes get accusations or things that are not always nice, and there's really not much you can do about it.
Yeah, there's not much you can do to combat it. No, you don't want to get in the mud. No, you don't want to get in the mud with them.
No, definitely not. No. But it breaks my. It's sad because when I think, you know, and I'm not going to talk about COVID, but I think after COVID, anybody that's still in the teacher field Let's give them all. I mean, they all ought to get a medal.
Yeah.
Anybody that stayed with it, right?
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because that was a lot, and and I don't think sometimes people realize what teachers do in a day. And I think that's been a blessing for your career because you have been through the channels.
Yeah.
I feel like that's where,
yeah,
like you started, like kind of give your story on your career there.
So at West Washington, it's funny because from the time I graduated college, I was involved at West Washington and chose to move and live out here. I bought my first house in Hardinsburg, on Cedar Lane.
That right there says a lot.
Right buried into the community. Now I was teaching in New Albany because that's where I got my first teaching job.
Mm-hmm.
And I attempted to get jobs out at West Washington for some time, but that summer after I graduated in May of 2000, that summer I was going to help coach football. And just a new guy coming out to coach football, and the head football coach then got me on the maintenance staff in the summer. So my first paycheck from there was working on the maintenance staff. I was a gopher for Tim Guthrie, who is Trish, our secretary's husband. He was our lead maintenance guy at the time. And, I was basically like the dad dragging along his son. Oh, I forgot the wrench. Go get the wrench. I need a 3/4 socket, not a 5/8. So I was just that kid running around doing what I could, getting paid $10 an hour, and then I would work at New Albany as a teacher in August. And then the next summer I did maintenance again. And then I did that for several years until I got a summer school teaching job. And then I got my admin license after teaching in New Albany for 11 and a half years. And I came in January of 2011 as the assistant principal. And I really did like that job. It's mostly discipline and attendance. And sometimes you make mistakes. I mean, it is hard. That's like really tricky work. I mean, it is like the nitty gritty, dirty work that happens at school.
Oh, sure.
That no one ever, I mean, it's easy to question, number one. You can question every one of those decisions. So that makes it hard. It's so gray. And it's important work. And no one's very happy whenever you call them.
Right. Yeah.
It's like being the bill collector or the tax man.
Like no,
No one. It's not a very positive job, but I did love it. And in fact, I got to know those kids that were frequent to the office way more than I got to know anyone else, and they quickly become your favorites. And so you're disciplining them with compassion because you do care for them.
Sure.
But if you care for people, you hold them accountable. You don't just let them walk all over you. And so I really, really liked that job. But the opportunity came open where a principal left kind of unexpectedly, and I became the high school principal. And again, actually, I kept the discipline because I liked the discipline so much. And we hired someone to come in and kind of work on the instructional practices of the teachers, which is an important part of being an administrator too. And at the conclusion of that, Mr. Jackson retired, and they did a superintendent search, and they weren't real happy with what they came up with, and they just approached me and asked if I'd be interested. And so that's how that happened. And I do love it. I like it. I do my best because sometimes it's difficult to not get trapped in your office. And I didn't become an educator to look at spreadsheets and budgets and all those things.
Right.
You want to be with the kids. And so we closed down our office that was off campus and put it right in the hallway there, in the senior hallway. And that's been helpful. But still, I got to remind myself and even put it on my schedule, like, get out of the office, go to the first grade. If you're feeling a little bad, go to the lunchroom when the kindergartner's in there. I mean, it'll give you a headache, but it'll also warm your heart.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. So you gotta remind yourself to go back to see the why of what you're doing.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, it's been a great run. I love it there. I'm a transplant.
Mm-hmm.
I'm a person that fell in love with it as opposed to, it wasn't an arranged marriage. I chose to be there, and it's been very, very good. It's been great for my kids. Growing up in New Albany, I loved it. It's super diverse. It does teach you a lot of things about empathy for different people. But I did want my kids to grow up in a place, like I said, where family was really valued. they had the opportunity to try and do a bunch of things. That's one of the most important things, I believe, for me, is like a kid needs the opportunity to find who they are. And how are they going to find who they are if they're in 7th grade and you tell them you're a basketball player? Well, you're 13 years old. You'll grab onto that.
Yeah.
But if you say you're a basketball player and a basketball player only, you're not giving them the opportunity to truly find their niche or grow. If they choose it on their own over time, that's fine. I have no problem with kids that choose to just do one thing. But you got to give them the opportunities to try multiple things and see who they are. Let them find it, because you can't tell them who they are. They need to find it themselves, and you can assist them along the way. So they got to do all kinds of things, between performing arts, like with the drama club, and being involved in sports at the same simultaneously. You leave football practice and you go to drama practice. My daughter found a love for photography, which she had that opportunity somewhere else. I mean, we don't have a photography class, but someone in our school comes up and says, "Hey, I'm interested in this." We say, "Well, let's see how we can get you involved. Here's the social media for the football, wrestling, and basketball teams. Go take the pictures, and you're in charge of it."
Love that.
So you just try to meet the kids where they're at. We got standards; those are our guides. That's what we teach. Everything else, the kids should be the guide. And so that's, to me, that's a really positive thing for our kids. You get the opportunity to find out who you are.
But I think like having like that, the going up, if you will, if you want to say the ladder, whatever you want to say, however you want to say it, has been very beneficial in the fact of, being that person that, if you want to, like, helping out with the custodian, getting to know and appreciate what all they do, from that area, and we know there are some fantastic custodians that make difference in children's lives, from the maybe a smile, it's everybody, that can make a difference. And then going on to be that teacher to the assistant principal. I mean, those were all that you've got to see firsthand.
Yeah, you got to see different. You got to see kind of behind the curtain, so to speak. And then, it's easy to appreciate someone's job and be thankful for them doing it. But if you really want to appreciate what they do, try it out. See what it's like. If you really want to appreciate a kitchen worker, go stand behind and go do dishes one time after a lunch period, or help serve lunch at Grandparents' Day when there are thousands, not thousands, that's hyperbole, but hundreds and hundreds of people extra in your school. I always think service opportunities are a great opportunity to learn and really appreciate. And I think our clubs and organizations and teams, to some degree, we've taken on the responsibility as a school to try to expose our kids to those things too. We're fortunate to live in a place where church is still important, but we still have a lot of people that don't do that, and don't have that connection to that community. So again, that's what I think school is for, to provide all those opportunities. So there's a kid who's been a third generation member of Mount Tabor Church, and they're super active. We love that. It's amazing for that kid. But what about the kid that doesn't have that community to experience those things? Well, then that's our responsibility. And that's hard, because I know how teachers feel. You feel a little knocked around, like, am I everything? Am I the parent? Am I the this? Am I the that? Right. Well, no, you're not. But through what you're doing, you can teach very valuable lessons. It runs parallel to parenting. It's not parenting. It runs parallel to parenting. And so we want to be assistive to families being as strong as they can.
Right. And I love that. So let's talk. So we're going to be, we have school today, and then we'll finish this week. And then our last day of school for West Washington will be?
Actually, Wednesday the 20th. I know a lot of schools in the area are out on Friday, which is going to be the holiday basketball tournament, which is always very festive and fun.
It's going to be at Borden this year.
Yeah. But Borden gives you the sense of you are in a packed bad house. I will say that.
I agree. Yes, I agree. I
can't say that it's my favorite gym, but for the environment of this, it's a pressure cooker in there.
Yeah, definitely.
And it's festive and fun and loud. It's always exciting. but we started school quite a bit later. We made the decision as a staff that, having a little more time, we kept starting creeping more and more like into July. And it was like, why are we doing this? Oh, well, we're doing it. We don't have more days of school than we used to have. What we have is all these breaks keep growing. And so we went back to kind of a more traditional schedule. We got the 1 week of fall break, we got the 1 week of spring break, but we shortened our Christmas break to where it wasn't quite as long. And we come back on the second. Most people won't come back on the second. Our teachers come back on the second, kids on the third. So yeah, we got this week to get through, and then next week is the finals week for those high schoolers, and then the elementary, they'll be doing a lot of fun activities the last several days, and Wednesday will be a treat down there in the elementary. It'll be a fun day. They'll be doing all kinds of holiday activities and treats and parties and movies and Santa Claus coming down the hall to see them, and that's always a fun day before we go home for break.
Well, and they've got all that good candy, and cookies and all that.
Hey, let us
stuff.
feed you all this stuff. Yeah. We'll send you home.
Send you home. Yeah. That's right.
We probably have more code greens on the bus that day than any other day.
That's hilarious. That's so funny. So, it's a fun time, and definitely it's a busy time for sure. Well, I think that that works out wonderful, and for the families and everything, that's great. And of course, then, like you said, there'll be testing going on next week for the upper class. Is that
Yeah, you always try to do a cumulative final at the end of a semester for a lot of reasons. You want to kind of see what they retained, but you also want to prepare those kids that are going to go on to some sort of college, because that's pretty much the traditional setting at finals weeks. You hear every college student talk about finals. Make sure you feed your kids well during that time, because it's a lot of cramming and staying up late, and so you try to mimic that a little bit to give them exposure to what it might be like if they choose to go to college. And then we start off with the fresh. You always take that opportunity to kind of start off fresh and reset for the second semester.
Wow. Well, and I mean, it's time flies by so fast. And then after this, okay, so you have the Christmas break, and then everybody comes back. You said on the 3rd. Teachers are listening the 2nd. So the 3rd, and then how does the rest of the school year go then? Is it?
I think a lot of people
isn't there like a long stretch?
The winter's difficult because there is a long stretch.
Like
it's so odd.
The 7th inning.
I think a lot of our schedules in Indiana and the Midwest are probably dictated by weather.
Well,
and
true.
So you had this long stretch, the entire 9 weeks, really, with hardly any breaks. If you happen to have snow, sometimes that's why snow's seen as a relief.
Yeah, definitely.
Why do kids get excited about a snow day? Well, you got the stretch of the longest stretch of the school year, and you get this pleasant surprise of, I'm staying home today.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's a tough stretch. It really is. And then, you're also fighting all the things that have now been proven to be real, like seasonal depression and the lack of sunlight and exposure to being outside, all that stuff that's healthy and good for you. So that does make that time challenging. So coming off a break, we need it. It's almost like, take that big deep breath before you submerge yourself again, knowing that you're not going to be able to come up for air for a little while. And, we always schedule that spring break at like the last of March or the 1st of April, so that you can have the opportunity to go and maybe go somewhere, or even locally have better weather for the week that you're off.
Right. Well, or if you want to stay home, and just enjoy your family. There's so many great things you can do just, staying home. And a lot of times it's hard to get sometimes that family time. And that you have to really plan and really work to get family time.
I mean, there are a lot of cool things just here in our county.
Yeah.
If you just look a little bit, I appreciate our Chamber of Commerce. There's a lot of good information there. If you don't know what you want to wear or what you need to do, you guys advertise all the local things happening. We got an amazing museum for the history of our county.
Fantastic.
If your kid loves trains, the depot.
Yeah.
And it's a beautiful place in there. And you can do all those things in one day. I mean, make a day of it and go do multiple things.
For sure. There's all kinds of things. And, even in look in Campbellsburg, if you go downtown Campbellsburg and see all that play area, taking there and having a picnic there, that is just so beautiful. And they've worked so hard on that,
Yeah. And just north of Campbellsburg, there's the state park that is.
Spring Mill.
Well, there's Spring Mill. That's on 60. But if you go
Mm-hmm.
straight, Henderson Park is good too. That's a great hike.
Yeah.
It's got the caves. It's got the 2 caves. I can't think of it for life. I mean, I used to go there, take my kids there all the time. If we had nothing to do, we'd just drive the ATV there. Yeah. It is blocked at the top, so you got to do some walking, but you can walk down. It's beautiful valley. There's a bunch of rock formations. Water always constantly coming out of the cave. Mm-hmm. But yeah, it's a
just don't mess with the blind fish, right? Yeah. They're protected.
Yeah,
okay?
Yeah.
Note to self: do not mess with those blind fish. But there's all kinds of fun things to do. But I'm thinking that with that, I think that'll be something everybody will be ready. Like, I think that stretch there, that where it is, it gets. It's darker early, and then it's cold. But then also, like you said, is that you can also turn that around and take time to do some sledding and have some fun and snowman. I love making snowman, and I love the snow and everything. So I'm all about it. So you have that opportunity to do some fun things and snow days, and that's something too, though, that we've got with the e-learning days you can use too. So that's wonderful, and what a blessing that's built in.
Yeah, there's some flexibility there. Yeah. And I know that's difficult on families sometimes, but the intent too is very difficult to make the days that you would add on to the end of the year valuable days. I mean, you could try to control it, I suppose. Yeah. But spring fever is a real thing. Oh. I mean, if you don't think so, go to the 6th grade in April, and they all start to smell bad. I don't know what it is. It's like, oh, our class smelled so good. Now it's April. It smells bad. I know that because I was a 6th grade teacher for several years, and it's. For us, we call the winter, it's like our board game season. Everything's got a season, right? We don't touch a board game. They're in the closet all spring, summer, most of the fall long. Right. But, it's like, oh, it's Thanksgiving. We need to dig out the board games. And then the next thing you know, they're out until March, Yeah. Let's pack those back away. It's like your big sweater that you just love so much, that big, comfy, warm sweater. When you get it out, you also pack out the board games because those are valuable opportunities. To be with your kids, talk about what's important, and those are valuable memories to me growing up. So you want to pass those on.
Definitely. So let's talk about, so when the weather gets feisty and parents, it's I feel like as a school corporation, I always love, and I'll let you explain this, all of the work that goes on behind the scenes, whether to have school or not have school. And I think sometimes people don't realize how much work goes into that thinking, or how much thinking goes into that.
Well, first of all, you want to be able to be safe to get in and out of your school.
Yes.
The parking lot, sidewalks, all of those things. Of course, we got employees that work on those things. Those employees also happen to be our bus drivers. So our maintenance staff is also driving a school bus, is also in charge of getting them cleared and ready. So if we are having school or trying to have school, or we are thinking maybe even a delay, those guys are in there at 4 o'clock in the morning. They're salting and scraping and clearing sidewalks, and no one sees it, right? Because no one else is up at 4 o'clock in the morning to see it. Right. But they're out there under the lights of our parking lot getting that stuff ready the best that they can. And so that's that's probably the initial decision. Can we get this ready and have it just safely be here at school? You don't want a staff to step on a sidewalk, fall and get hurt. 2 things. You don't want your staff member hurt. Of course, you don't want that. Number 2, we have liabilities as a school. Sure. Workman's comp claims. If it's a person who's not an employee, potential lawsuit if you are negligent in some way. So those are important details as you're trying to run a school and protect it to consider. And then while they're cleaning, I'm usually out driving, and you're checking all the problem areas. So Campbellsburg as a town has its own triaxle and a guy that works there, and he does a really nice job. And so if you live on Oak Street in Campbellsburg, you might look out and think, well, it looks fine here. Why aren't we going to school? But if you go to Possum Hollow and you drive up and down those hills and those areas that are always in the shade and never get the sun hit the road to help warm them up and melt the stuff away, you realize there are problematic areas in a geographical region as large as our school corporation.
Yeah, that is true.
All the way from White River to Blue River. Yeah. And, you have to take into consideration every bus route and every student that's going to drive to school or ride to school. And even in instances, there's been instances where a person has complained on the opposite end. We are having school, but look at my road.
Yeah.
In those cases, number one, I can't drive every mile of every road. First off, I mean, really impossible with the amount of time that you're trying to make the decision.
Sure.
And number two, we tell our drivers, and we try to teach and coach them too, like where to go and when to make the decision to turn around and not go.
Right.
And we contact the parent and we say, I'm sorry, we couldn't get to your student safely. And even student driver, I actually encourage parents to tell their kids, unless they are very well established with experience driving, to just ride the bus, even if you got your license, because on those days, the buses, they're a weight that help them maintain contact with the ground, and in many cases, unless it's ice, ice is pretty problematic no matter what size of vehicle you have.
Sure.
And those drivers are going to drive safe, and they know that, if I'm 15 minutes late, it's not a big deal.
Right.
A student may rush, they may not be, maybe inexperienced, may not know the path, where the problem areas are.
Yeah.
And so, even students, if a parent were to call and say, I don't think it's safe for my student to drive to school, and we didn't get around for the bus, we excuse those absences.
Yeah.
So, safety is the key. You do not want that one-off instance that can just ruin your year of someone being in a bad accident, something bad happening.
Right.
I know that's happened to area schools in the past. And you don't ever want that to be the case for you. And can you imagine being the person to make the decision?
Right.
Oh, we're coming to school, and then someone is truly injured badly, or something bad happens. That's a lot of weight. And the people that are making those decisions, they take that responsibility very seriously. I know, because I talk to them, because I have a text thread or phone call with the people in Orange County. I have one with the people in Washington County. I have one with the people in Lawrence County. And so, that's happening everywhere. I'm not unique. The same thing is happening here in Salem.
No,
those people are making one heck of a decision.
Yeah.
And it's one person.
Mm-hmm.
The other thing I do is always call the county highway department as well. Right. Talk about where they're at, what they're going to be able to get done, when they think they're going to be able to do that. And I always remind them of, like, hey, Myers Road, that hill coming off the corner, we've had multiple slides off there in the past, and they'll hit those places first, and they'll put extra cinders down or whatever.
Yeah, okay. So, and they welcome those calls.
Oh yeah, like those.
I mean,
no, they're helpful.
They're
so
very
helpful.
good. Yeah,
they're
and they
helpful.
welcome those. If you see something, say something. Or if you know something that needs to be a little bit more attention to. And I think you bring up. I love to go over that and just remind everybody before we get into that. Because again, we go on social media and you see things, and again,
they're just lazy. They don't want to come into school
that's
today.
not,
I mean, come on.
Yeah, but I think
it's a lot more work for a teacher to do a virtual day than to be there. I can tell you that right now.
No, exactly. Yeah. And I think that, like what you're talking about, some of the roads that have really big trees that are bring that shade, that are still slick, and some of the different conditions of roads and different there's a lot of roads in this county.
Oh yeah, I mean, even Salem, like you can like try to pigeonhole. Oh, Salem, that's like that's the county seat. Look, it's like the town, but there are very rural sections of this this Salem School Corporation. It's just like what I'm fighting. And Eastern has the same thing.
Absolutely.
It's a beautiful scenic place.
Yeah.
But it also caused problems for transportation, because we can't even have radios on the buses, because there are places that you get up on a hill, great. You got signal. Yeah. Get down in the hollow, nothing.
Yeah, exactly. Right. So I think that those are just degree of difficulties, and I always like to kind of go over it. It's always a good time. Mm-hmm. We're into December, and we don't know when that will happen, or we'll just see what happens. Take it day by day. But I know personally, Keith, because you and I have spoke early morning. I know personally that you go above and beyond, and I just wanted to bring that to the forefront for people to know that. You know. to know that those decisions are not just made lightly,
Yeah, and then to try to make light of it, we try to do some fun things.
Yeah, I know, I know.
Doing the little singing telegram type things.
Which one? What was your favorite? Have you? Which one so far? Like in the history of all that you've done?
Probably one of the first ones, because it was like the surprise and shock. It's like everyone was like, "Oh my God, that was
great."
I answered that, and it just made me laugh out loud. And you can still get that to a degree, but now it's kind of an expectation.
Yeah, no.
It's like if I do one and I don't, it's like,
do you remember that first one?
Raked over the coals for this.
Am I gonna?
I remember doing like Ice Ice Baby early on. Mixing up those lyrics. On the Road Again, because it was like a particularly tough winter. The winter of my first year as superintendent for some reason, and so I was like, I'm singing that song in my head as I'm putting my clothes on to go get in the car at 3:45. I'm in my head. I'm saying On the Road Again. That's what I'm in my head. It's going over and over. So I was like, I bet I could put some words to that have to do with the snow day. So yeah, there's just usually that's how it comes to me. I'm just kind of driving around and there's a tune stuck in my head, which I don't know what makes people like that, but I do that all the time, the time.
Yeah, no,
And then sometimes I'm always making up silly words to songs at the house just because. And I don't really. Please don't think that I think I'm a good singer.
No. He's not looking for anyone to be his manager. No. He's not gonna. Yeah, he's not trying to hit it big time. He just wants to bring
just have a little fun.
Yeah, definitely. Well, and it is fun. Yeah, I always enjoy hearing and I wait to see what kind of genre it's going to be.
I won't single him out by name, but I did have a real bah humbug person call me one time and tell me that it was foolish what I was doing. And
no.
And I said, sir, I'll gladly take you off the kill list.
There you go. Well, I would say they're getting coal for Christmas. That's for sure. Yeah, that's not no. I love it, and I think everybody else in the world or in the area that receives them loves them too. So, well, I think that's good to know that, should it happen, we'll, prepared and everything like that. It's always nice to know kind of what goes on, behind the scenes and stuff.
And we did put a couple built-in snow days in, because we don't want to do too many virtual days. No one wants that.
Right.
But it is a great tool in the arsenal. We believe that, at a certain point, if it equals a certain percentage of our school year, it's not good for the teachers or the students. And so we have in our mind a threshold of how many snow days we want to have, or virtual days we want to have.
Right.
Now, I have never experienced the blizzard of 1976. So that threshold could be pushed by Mother Nature. That's why I don't want to speak it into existence.
Right.
If I tell you my threshold, I'm going to be pushed to the threshold by Mother Nature. So I just keep it to myself and not share it with anyone else.
Do not put those words into the universe. Although, according to the Almanac, we might be in for a dandy this year, which, we'll take it as it, but it's
as accurate as the weatherman.
That's the only person that can have
or
a job.
Inaccurate as the weatherman.
There you go. That's exactly right. You never know. And of course, if you do you look at the persimmons, you look at the willy worms, everything, you try to figure it out. It looks like we're going to be in for something, but we'll just take it as it comes. And I feel like, we've got a lot of great technology now. We've got a lot of, like we talk about almost like, so you have some of the negative technology, but now there's also great positive technology.
Yeah.
And I know that also getting Wi-Fi and getting the internet, making sure that all of the kids, have that.
Yeah, the kids are getting a lot. Kids are getting
a
lot better about handling that. Sometimes now our biggest problem is, Johnny, get a shirt on. You're in your virtual class.
Yeah, that's.
I know you're at home, but right now we're having class. Go get a shirt on.
Yeah, I watched. I watched some virtual classes, and they were very. They were. When they're at home, it's really it's a difference. You
get a little insight too.
Yeah.
You got like a 13-year-old with a bunch of little siblings, and you're like, oh, that's why they have trouble getting their homework done.
Yeah. Well, I had a daughter that was going to IUS, and she was on with her professor, and I was taking her laundry and I was trying to put her laundry away, and they saw me and they were like, no one's supposed to be in your room. You were supposed to not have any distraction or anything. And I was like, oh, and I got busted on that. So, those kind of things do happen.
Yeah.
Yeah. But anyway, that's part of it. But going back on this, so then of course it's exciting time, and you've got parties going on. I'm sure there's Christmas trees going up. We've got Santa Claus in the house here.
Yeah, our office staff do a good job of help making the entrance nice and festive. So yeah, it's really nice.
Right. And then, of course, we got the holiday tourney like you spoke of. That's always an exciting time when everybody to come out. It'll be a good time to come out and see all of the schools coming together. And
yeah, last year was really fun because we hosted. And so my wife and I, we actually dressed up and we had this winter scene up there. And we did a little fundraiser for the prom. And so people could get their picture taken with Santa Claus and Mrs. Claus. And it was really, I think it was even just for a donation. I don't think we told them how much they had to pay. If they wanted our photo, we actually had a professional photographer there to take the photo and then be able to share it with the family and parents. But yeah, I guess we'll hang that one up for the next time we host the holiday tournament. But I mean, I remember I even had the whole East Washington cheerleading squad, you know, the lifter guys and all piled in there for a holiday picture. It was fun.
Yeah. Definitely a fun time and a great time. And Keith Nance, you guys, anything else going on over at West Washington that?
Well, right now things are winding down just because it is so close to the end of the semester. But we just had an excellent elementary Christmas program. Tons of kids involved, and everyone loved it. And then before that, our drama department had an excellent program that took place in November. Basketball is all underway for everybody, and wrestling as well, and all those kids are doing a top-notch job of just representing our school. So
and keeping everybody healthy. You know, this is the season. 'Tis the season also for colds, flus, and all that. You know, and I have to say a big shout out to all of them, everybody that's taking care of themselves, getting rest, and hopefully eating well, because there's a lot. It's a busy time.
And the school nurses that are seen an onslaught.
A big shout out to them. Yes. They are, keeping everybody, I guess, vertical instead of horizontal.
Yeah. And for them to stay healthy, they got to take care of themselves.
And
because they see every sick kid in the school.
And you know very good well, everything that comes. And then when you get, and, when every time like there's a break, and all of the kids have been visiting, every in-law from different states and stuff. When they all come back together, it's always
a school nurse's family. They should do a case study. They probably have the most immunities built up in their bodies of anybody.
They have to be rock stars. They do. Yeah, exactly. I mean,
they're like the Supermans of antibodies.
I agree. Yeah. Send them in. They are very, very much so. Yeah, I agree with that. Well, Keith, it's always a pleasure. Education Wednesday. Thanks for sharing a lot of great stories, a lot of great food for thought, and good reminders, for just things that are going on at school corporations. And, West Washington School Corporation is a great, great school, and you do a great job, and they're very blessed to have you. And I appreciate you sharing your story. And it's always nice to find out,
a little more about somebody.
Yeah, definitely. Thank you for coming in. And I'll let you read our sponsors again.
All right. In my best Santa Claus voice.
There you go.
Ho, ho, ho. Coffee Club sponsors: Meadowview Healthcare, Walmart, Salem Crossing, Hoosier Uplands, Americans for Prosperity, Mama Rosa's, Fox Perley's Wealth Management, Dr. Black's Eye Associates, Dr. Mindy Gunn, Leader One Financial, and Equal Housing Lender.
All right, everyone. And thank you, Keith Nance, West Washington School Corporation Education Wednesday. And Merry Christmas to you.
Merry Christmas to you.
Thank you.
Let branch manager Autumn Scott Hall and her staff at Salem's Leader One Financial Office on the public square help you live your best dream with just the right financing. Autumn and Camissa are licensed for all FHA, VA, USDA, conventional, and jumbo mortgage programs. Whether you're a first-time home buyer, seasoned real estate investor, or simply looking for refinancing options, Autumn's team will help you and ensure you receive the right mortgage for your unique financial situation at a competitive and fair price. They'll communicate with you all the information you need to know when you need to know it, while offering the best mortgage loans for your financing needs. Call today to get started, 812-883-0670, or stop in and see Autumn or Camissa today at 18 Public Square, Suite A in Salem. We're ready to open the door to home ownership for you.
Turning Point Church in Scottsburg is a church of second chances and new beginnings and has something for everyone and every age. Showers for those in need are going to be available on Wednesdays from 5:30 to 6:15. Food will also be available afterwards. If you're in need of more than a meal, Turning Point has food giveaways twice a month. Coming up in December, they'll have December the 11th and December the 18th from 11 to 1 p.m. or until the food runs out. Turning Point Church is located at 899 West McLean Avenue in Scottsburg. For more information, contact Pastor John Jackson at 812-752-7857 or find the church's Facebook page online.
Indiana's going to win it, and they have won it!
5 times national champions, 22 conference championships.
3 on the way. Yes!
17 Big Ten Players of the Year.
Throws up a shot. High, hit it again!
7 Basketball Hall of Famers. And countless memories on the court.
Trace puts it up. Oh, he got it! What a spin move!
This is Indiana Hoosiers basketball.
When I first joined the board at Papa John's, I brought some big ideas.
We're gonna need more pepperoni.
But my biggest idea is shakaroni pizza.
Make it bigger, make it bigger. More is better.
It's extra large with extra cheese and covered in more than 60 pepperonis.
When I say a handful of pepperoni, I mean my handful.
What makes shakaroni huge is that Papa John's donates $1 from every pizza to the Papa John's Foundation.
1, 2, 3, shakaroni!
Pizza gets bigger when you shakaroni. Only at Papa John's.
The new Shakaroni is available at your Salem Papa John's for a limited time, starting at only $13.99. Call today at 812-883-3369 or order on your Papa John's app. Better ingredients, better pizza, Papa John's.
Introduce your family and friends to one of Salem's oldest traditions, home cooking from Mama Rosa's in Salem. Whether you're getting that one-of-a-kind tasting pizza, baked spaghetti, hot sandwiches, or a variety of other Italian food and artisan pizzas, Mama Rosa's has something for everyone. Open Tuesday through Thursday, 4 to 9 for dining and carry-out, Fridays and Saturdays from 11 a.m. to 10 p.m. and Sundays from 11 to 9. Mama Rosa's brings their famous pizza buffet to you on Fridays from 11 a.m. to 2 p.m. for just $10.99. Choose from a wide variety of pizzas, homemade soups, and a large salad bar with their homemade potato salad, slaw, and desserts. Then come back for Friday night's home-style buffet from 4:30 to 8 or 11 a.m. to 2 p.m. on Sundays for $12.99, where you'll find a variety of good home-cooked foods. Stop in and see Joanne and her family at Mama Rosa's and make some new memories or relive your childhood with that one-of-a-kind taste. Dine in or call 812-883-6296 to take the great taste of Mama Rosa's pizza home with you.
Caring people make the difference. You can feel it the minute you walk into Salem Crossing. The experts in long-term care, not just doing a job, but following a calling. They're here to help you and your family find answers and solutions and peace of mind. In fact, they become an extension of your family. For more information about Salem Crossing, visit ASCSSeniorCare.com or call 812-883-1877. That's 812-883-1877.
American Standard Heating and Air Conditioning is built to a higher standard, so you can focus on the problems in your life that actually matter, like the stair that only creaks when everyone else in the house is asleep. American Standard Heating and Air Conditioning, built to a higher standard.
Give Seth at Marshall's a call today at 812-967-3742, and we'll be glad to take care of you.
If you're looking for a church in the area to spend your Christmas season, try Turning Point Church at 899 West McLean Avenue in Scottsburg. Come see Pastor John Jackson and the congregation at Turning Point, a place for second chances and new beginnings. There'll be a candlelight service on December the 20th for the community at 6:30 p.m. and Christmas service at 10 a.m. on December the 24th. Regular services are on Sundays at 10 a.m., Tuesday prayer time at 7 p.m., and Wednesdays at 6:30 p.m. Check them out on Facebook, YouTube, and online at turningpointchurchscottsburg.com for upcoming events, class times, and more. Also, Turning Point will be having a food giveaway for the community on December the 11th and 18th from 11 a.m. to 1 p.m. or until the food